Okay, we're both here. Shell's munching, but that's fine. We're having conversations about movies and stuff. I think all movies should be 3D animated at this point. I mean, like, okay, maybe not every movie. No, I think there's a place for 2D, but, like, there was a thing about, like, anime recently, and quite a lot of even 2D anime is actually based off of 3D and stuff. I do think there is absolutely room for 2D. I think that's fine, but, like, I think in all of these live-action mega blockbuster movies, I think I would have liked them more in 3D. Because, like, I liked Spider-Man Far From Home, but visually, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was just so much more, like, impactful and cool-looking to me. And, like, what's another example? I mean, we're talking... forget real actors? Maybe, yeah. I mean, to some degree, I do feel like the days of the megastars should probably be, like, moved away from for a lot of cases. If only because, like...
The one thing I do agree is that when an actor is cast into several roles, eventually you see the actor and you don't see the character.
Yeah. Like, at this point, it's hard to see Robert Downey Jr., for example, when, you know, he's been Iron Man for so long. Like, straight up, Robert Downey Jr. as Sherlock Holmes was just Iron Man as Sherlock Holmes. And it wasn't necessarily bad, but it was certainly, like, the character didn't stand out anymore. Whereas, like, I feel like when they're 3D modeled, you can make somebody look completely different and so on and so forth. And make them really, like, really special. Easy example is Rocket the Raccoon, who is, God, I don't even remember the actor's name for it, which is, I mean, not even the point, because I'm just terrible at remembering names of anything. What was that? Yeah, Bradley Cooper, there we go. And, like, yeah, and he's such a, like, lovable and, like, wondrous character. And Bradley Cooper could go be, like, 1,000 different other characters, and I wouldn't see him as Bradley Cooper. And maybe that's actually a bad thing for Bradley Cooper, I don't really know. Wasn't Bradley Cooper the guy that was always, like, in kind of B-list rom-coms?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think having him be Rocket the Raccoon is actually, like, an absolutely brilliant idea, because he's not this romance guy in, well, I don't have to see the guy that was in however many other of these, like, romance shows and movies and whatnot. Like Keanu Reeves' various things. That's because I like Keanu Reeves as a person. I don't actually really care as much for him as an actor. Like, Keanu Reeves is a cool dude, and, like, I appreciate him greatly, but, like, I don't...
There's a disparity. The only movies that I've seen with him starring, there's the, what was it, The Lake House, which is a rom-com with Sandra Bullock. The Matrix movies, John Wick, and then, oh, what was it? Oh, yeah, he was one of the main protagonists in the Bram Stoker's Dracula.
He was also in Godzilla. He was in, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. He's going to be in Cyberpunk 2077 as one of the, like, main supporting NPCs.
But I suppose I don't want to necessarily say that the medium... I find that overall, animation appeals to me more than live action because of the things that you can do with the characters.
Yeah.
And the fact that you don't really see an actor. Like, you might recognize the voice for some of the animated characters, but usually there's enough of a disconnect that you see them as their own character. I know that people have really loved the
definitely
animated Star Wars, like Clone Wars series and such.
I will flip it on myself a little bit here. I absolutely can recognize Steve Blum, Matt Mercer, and like a couple other characters. The actor for Illidan and so on and so forth. Like those are people that stand out maybe a little bit too much. But I think part of that just has to do with the fact that the voice acting industry is a little bit, well, I would say it's smaller than the acting industry. But maybe that's just me. But like if everybody was just a voice actor, I'm sure the
it'd be a lot less dangerous.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have people getting hurt in stunts.
Yep. It'd just be a lot of mocap. And I realize like there is something special about live action.
I
but,
think
like,
live action should definitely be used for let's say historical films, definitely
romance. Generally, not always. I could definitely see some really beautiful like.
Well, I think there's still the stigma that animation is for children,
which is a shame because like there's so much you can do with like really good 3D animation.
I mean, well, I'm just also thinking of 2D with Ghibli and stuff.
Yeah,
amazing, but. I think there's also something to be said about the movies that try to mix them, but not well. One being, I marvel at any of the World of Warcraft cinematics that they make. And then you have the monstrosity that was the World of Warcraft movie, where the orcs were really well done, but the humans, because they were actual humans, it just didn't mesh well at all. I would have rather, in that instance, everything had been CGI.
It looked weird and confusing. Let's see. Yeah, no, I actually really wish more game studios would actually just make movies here and there. Like, if, I mean, as the example, World of Warcraft, if every once in a while, or like between patches, they just put out like a 45-minute like mini-movie. If
they made a movie that summed up each expansion, that'd be really cool. I could totally see it. But I don't know. It does beg the question, what's more costly to produce? Like, how many man-hours go into creating the 3D models and animating versus having to shoot on set and then adding special effects after the fact? I mean, at this point, there's so many special effects added to live-action films, they're practically half animation anyway.
Oh, yeah. Like, I think somebody was pointing that out about, like, a lot of the Avengers movies and so on and so forth. That, like, almost all of the Avengers movies are just green screen. And, like, I don't know. I realize, like, not everybody's super down about, like, 3D and artistry and whatnot, but, like, there's just so much you can do with it.
I think the problem is there's so much rigid and soulless 3D.
True.
So
we're moving away from that pretty hard, especially, like, within cinema. But, like, the only thing that I've liked about, say, the most recent Star Wars movies has been the setting. You know, the environments and so on and so forth look really cool.
They were the same old drab ones that they've always had. They need something different.
True, but, like, the handling of it was cool. Like, I remember an X-Wing going by, and I'm like, man, that is a damn fine-looking X-Wing. Or, like, flying through the nebula was actually pretty rad-looking. Like, I'll give them that.
You mean you're referring to the Kessel Run?
Yeah, the Kessel Run was pretty rad. Or, like, those completely irrelevant crystal foxes. Like, they meant nothing to what was going on.
They were a MacGuffin, actually.
MacGuffins mean a plot device.
Yes, they were. Remember? They were the ones that led the rebels out of the cave.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Ooh.
God, that is such a Disney thing to do.
A MacGuffin.
But, like, what's another example? Well, I guess let's keep ragging on Disney here a little bit.
Oh, people weren't hearing the prior discussion that we were discussing if they've come out with anything original in the last.
Well, that's
couple
not even
decades.
like what I need to talk about here. But I was
too.
gonna say, like, of the most recent Marvel movies, I've really enjoyed the Guardians of the Galaxy the most because, like, holy crap, everything they do in like C looks really cool, and I'm a little bit disappointed that. I'm a little bit disappointed that, like, well, no, I'm not disappointed, but it's like, that is by far the best of their ability. And so I always get a little bit like, when Spider-Man Far From Home. Great movie, but like, the setting is Earth.
Well, so what you're essentially saying is that the old soup-style superhero genre should fall away to the cosmic superhero stories.
Not necessarily cosmic, though, because the other thing...
But think about it. Haven't you noticed that there's been a definitive shift towards the Asgardians, the alien races of the galaxy, the Eternals, do you know what I mean? A lot of the new series aren't focusing on the human that suddenly discovers they have powers, or the high school student,
well, that's because they got
someone
through
trying
all
to keep their identity a secret from their friends
they
and
got
family.
through all of their basic backstories. Part of the reason why you see so many stories doing that specific trope is very specifically because they can never live long
It's
enough
the
to
origin
be the sequel.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, do we get to another area? This is strange. It's almost as if Soju's calling us.
Yeah. Will I see you again?
Yes, I promise.
You what? Lynn, what's happening?
I promised. He's right. It's all coming back, Kagachi. Every last detail. At last.
Lynn.
Why I came to you. Why I followed Soju. Why I said you weren't whole. We made a promise to each other. Out where the Linnea flowers bloom. We promised each other, Soju.
Wait, are we Soju? Soju? Wait, I'm Soju?
You were Soju before you were you. That might be the best way to think of it.
So we're half of Soju, hence the fact that we both have the one... Okay, I'll give that.
And is he the spirit? Like, is he a spirit part of what? But then what about your parents? And
I almost want to say that the Night Devil is like what was left over. Of like his rage, well, like the other half of him passed on and then reincarnated. Maybe. I don't know, let's keep going.
When Soju failed to reincarnate, he was split in two. Half of him became you, in the living world. The other half dwelled in the beyond, an avatar of hate.
Who's there?
It's you.
Huh? Who?
But why aren't you whole?
Oh, what? What are you talking about? So that's why you said I wasn't whole. The Night Devil's memories, I saw them. That thing is a daemon whose soul is so fueled by hatred, it couldn't reincarnate. You're the only one who can save it. Why me? I don't know. You'll have to find that answer yourself. Search for its origin, collect the pieces of its malice. You're the only one who can be bound to it. In due course, it will find you. No wonder I can bond with the Night Devil. The two of us used to be a single soul. It all makes sense now.
but how can How can someone half reincarnate? His body looks fine? Or is it really just about the soul being split?
It's the soul being split. I think
Why would you want to merge with the other half of the soul, considering how destructive it is?
Well, because it's the only way to stop it from being destructive.
Yeah, true.
I think the point is, though, like, Kagachi, like, the reason why he's a bit of a dick is actually just because...
He doesn't have the raw emotion.
Yeah, he is half a soul, therefore he has, you know, less of a reaction to things and such. What were we playing recently? Oh, right. This is a better explanation for having no emotions or being kind of a dick than, like, Fire Emblem. It's Fire Emblem, you were just, like, creepy.
Alright.
You're what Soju aspired to become. The Night Devil is everything he wanted to leave behind. Only your half can save his soul. Please, you have to save Soju.
I won't have to go far. He's just up ahead, lying in wait. Okay, I will give it that. That's an alright twist. Because they did actually, like, they did even kind of, preempt that with the whole, like, matching eye thing. And we noticed that. We just didn't call it. Or maybe we did, I don't know.
It would have made more sense, though, if this hateful spirit killed off every one of his friends and allies and mentors out of sheer hatred for him and jealousy.
Yeah.
Rather than all the weird love triangles and everything else. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I wish the plot had been much more about, like, there's this spirit that has been haunting the shit out of Kagachi this entire game. And, like, he joined the Watchers because it was the only way for him to, like, protect himself and those he loved. And even then, he almost immediately is being beset by the Night Devil, who's just, like, ruining his life and trying to get him to give in to despair and so on and so forth. Like, that would have actually been kind of cool. Let's see, how many hours have we put into this game so far? Interesting question. Unsure.
And then the spirit, of course, could try to hasten his demise so that there's a chance that it can become whole again.
Yeah. Like, I remember when it was even trying to kill Linnea? I wish it had been going for Kagachi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't make sense why he was attacking Lin unless it was the whole, you promised. And she never helped him.
Because I think it would have also been kind of powerful if it had killed Kagachi's parents and a bunch of other things. At which point Kushi rolls in. And...
knowing that he's being pursued by a spirit gives him the tools necessary to fight them. Except the spirit lies in wait.
That would have actually been a good thing if they had a little bit more, like, backstory. That, like, Kushi was one of the Watchers. And actually,
well, he is one of the Watchers,
well,
but...
yeah, but, like, you know, they establish it earlier on. They give you a little bit more, like, kid Kagachi living life or something. Just backstory, maybe even, like, early Watcher training, question mark, with Kushi. And then Kushi, when Kagachi's a kid, absorbs the Night Devil in order
to save him.
In order to save him, but still ends up killing Kagachi's family before getting sealed away, blah, 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 blah. And then it's Kagachi and Mayura trying to both, you know, obviously fend off this Night Devil that is still haunting them, but is less dangerous because Kushi's holding him back. And then also trying to save Kushi, and in the end, like...
And then when all of the murders of the other Watchers occur... it's actually Kushi all along.
Yeah, and so instead of it being
Except
Koga,
it's when the spirit is coming through.
Yeah, exactly.
The seal.
And so instead of it being, oh no, it was Kujo. Sorry, not Koga. When Kujo kills Mayura, it was actually just because Kushi had, like, totally lost control, or maybe that's not it. That
well, maybe the whole thing with Mayura dying is
is the trigger for Kushi finally losing it.
Or it's when the spirit breaks out and kills Mayura because it's Kushi's one of the last things that holds him to his convictions.
Yeah, and so
being
then the
human.
Night Devil is like...
Because the Night Devil's probably been fighting with him this whole time, wanting Kushi to give in to despair.
Yeah, but Kushi has this daughter that he wants to live for, that he has something to care about. So finally the Night Devil finds a willing pawn to take out Kushi, that can take out Kushi.
You mean Mayura?
Yeah, sorry, Mayura. Bleh. Kushi just sounds like a feminine name to me.
It always did. I think there have been female characters with the name Kushi in games before.
Okami recently,
I think so. I think Kushi was one of the names.
But yeah. And there, we've rewritten the plot for this game, and I think it's better.
I think it would have dragged everything on just a little bit more.
It would have tied it together, because currently it felt very weirdly episodic, and then it's suddenly like, by the way, the Night Devil's the main villain, and it's like they had foreshadowed it, but it was the foreshadow of like, have you heard of the Night Devil? It's this evil thing.
And also this whole arc business doesn't make sense. It was thrown around, and then it was the impetus for the rebellion. And then there's the, only someone of royal blood can open this.
It is mighty convenient that we are that
you're technically one of the royal heirs.
Yeah.
Correct. I was almost expecting the main character to be able to open the gate himself, but maybe because he's not whole, he doesn't have that power, or is it just because he never tried?
You know, I'm a little bit disappointed now that I'm thinking about it. If they hadn't... I wish they had actually aped off of Final Fantasy X a little bit, and had it that the Sovereign was actually...
They knew about his origins?
No, I was gonna say, I wish that the Sovereign had been, like, Linnea and Soju's mother, or father or something, and effectively had just been, body snatching people, and it's this, like, horrible immortal ghost that's, like, screwing with people for years, and so on and so forth. Like, the royal family, is actually absolutely the, like, true enemy of the Watchers beyond, because... You know,
because they're subverting their own teachings by giving themselves eternal life.
Yeah, and the reason why everything is so bad to some degree is actually just because the Sovereign is actually this, like, horrible monster.
Or they could be encouraging people to die because they need spirits to munch on every once in a while to replenish their youth. Or keep their own spirits alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because, like, I appreciate that they're trying to, like, constantly go over, like, grieving and, like, so on and so forth. Well, that was... And, like, it's an interesting story that they kind of tell. The problem is it just feels on loop. And, like, a lot of the NPCs don't...
The NPCs were introduced, and then they were they were disposed of.
And, like, all the little...
I think we didn't get really any characterization from the couple that died. And
Nope.
I think, Cujo invited you potentially out on a date once.
And we just blew her off real fast.
And that was the only hint you got to her being jealous of Mayura.
Yep. And then she kills Myra and is like, I wish you had loved me. And we're like, this is new.
Where it's something that really should have been built up over the course of the game.
11 Scythe Stones, man. Look, the Scythe turned out to be really good. That instant death ability is nuts.
Ooh, so you got more lore?
Yep, and we're supposedly... Yeah, there it is. We're right next to a lore stone.
I did not grieve when my parents passed. But not out of any desire to respect their wishes. On the contrary, I was testing myself. I did not overcome my sadness to bid them farewell. I bade them farewell with no sadness at all. I had to know what effect such ascending would have on the dead, especially one performed by their own flesh and blood.
Ooh.
I hated myself for having such thoughts. I was a monster and a fool. But ultimately, I was the one who saw my parents through to the end. They joined the ranks of the fallen and attacked the lost. So, I ended their misery.
Well then. So she sent them off. She had become a watcher, but... Oof. So she wanted to see what it'd be like if she did the sending for them, experiencing no sadness whatsoever. Wow, the death of her younger sibling really had that much of a profound effect. See, I can move around. Wander is off going to the bathroom. So I will... What? Go hit things? I can try. I don't want to get to a cutscene though. That'd be bad. What is this shrine? Wait, that didn't give me a speed boost, did it? No, doesn't seem to. South? South Wander says. Wow! Ouch. Well, I took out that guy.
Yeah,
And the little
Reaper is
pingies.
stupidly powerful because it'll one-shot anything that isn't an actual boss, which is very strong. Except for those guys. Those guys just suck. I mean, it'll take them out. It's just hard to hit them.
So, did you hear at all what
Yeah,
she had said?
yeah, I was listening. So she didn't mourn for her parents, and then she killed somebody. I missed who she had killed specifically.
Oh, she sent them off.
Oh.
She was the one that performed their sending, if you will.
Wow, we're getting scythe stones for her in a hurry.
It's an interesting word to use for to kill. To send. I suppose that's because you're sending the spirit over.
Oh, didn't die. Let's see.
Yeah, I think that going back to the whole animation business, the medium, it really depends on what you're trying to convey.
Yeah.
And there are so many ways in which to do it. I mean, there are so many styles with which you could have 3D, 2D, any kind of animation. I think, if anything, live action is more limiting.
Yeah.
Because you have to strive for that realism. You can still have amazing costumes and environments and such, but because you're using people, there's always going to be that necessity to ground them. Or to ground everything else to make it believable. And then you have things like the upcoming Cats movie.
Oh boy. That
I mean,
that movie does not make me comfortable.
I think
Looking at it
I grew up
is
watching the
deeply
musical,
unnerving.
and the costumes were great for it, but they were clearly costumes and, you know, face paint and makeup, and they did have these elaborate, I would call them wigs, but they probably had some elements glued on, and they had little ear tufts made out of the fur and whatnot. But for the live action, they're going to be having animated ears on top of their heads, and they don't seem to sit right on them. And because the fur is actually mocapped onto their bodies, sometimes it doesn't look like it's sitting on it quite right. I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah, I definitely prefer... And that's the thing, too. I know that we were discussing CGI and how far it's come, but there's something wonderful about costumes, puppets, animatronics, models, just the effects and the props that are tangible, real things, and costumes and creatures. Granted, you can't get as much movement out of them per se, so I'm actually really looking forward to what they do with the Dark Crystal Netflix series, because they're going to be incorporating, I mean, they said that it's predominantly going to still be with the puppets and the actual sets and such, but they are going to have some CGI elements for things that they couldn't do with puppets. But they said that they're going to keep it at a minimum, I believe. So that'll be nice. I believe the other night I was talking about just Jim Henson Studios and their films and their television shows. How I always very much enjoyed things like Farscape and, yeah, Dark Crystal and Labyrinth and such, because I just really like the old props and animatronics and costuming. Just, there's a charm to it. And for many aliens and such, it's one of the more feasible ways to have them coincide with humans and look like they belong.
I hate these things. So annoying. Okay, so that new ability is bad. It has trouble hitting anything. Okay. Damon's DS skills. Supernova back to Noble Dream. Okay. Let's see.
The bloom. Also, we should probably say our
Thank
you, Square Enix.
Yeah, thanks, Square. We've been playing for exactly 30 minutes. It's just in time. I mean, technically we were supposed to do it at the beginning, but that's okay. It's like...
You can add it in.
Who cares? We've done it enough.
Yeah, thanks for giving us a copy of Oninaki.
Wow, that's got some range to it.
Absolutely love the artistry and the gameplay. Wish the plot was cleaned up a little bit more, or at least reconfigured.
I'm always really curious with studios like this, how they take their feedback, if that makes sense. Because, like, with a lot of indie developers, it's super, like, hands-on. Like, I specifically, was complaining about a couple of things with, I was complaining about a couple of things with Undermine, and then when I launched it today, they'd actually addressed them in, like, a very direct manner. Which is something that I actually really appreciated because, I mean, obviously...
What are examples of the things that you had suggested?
So for example, eating food, eating food when you're already full health. Food is the healing item in that game, and it's like, well, this is kind of dumb. Why would it work like that? And so now they have the option to just turn that off. I'd also grumped about the fact that the minimap would be open in the middle of combat, which is like, enemies would straight up be, like, hiding behind it.
Oh, yeah.
As well as, like, hazards and some other things, and it's like, yeah, you really don't want that sort of thing. You really don't want that sort of thing, you know, getting in the way of your relatively difficult combat game.
So now does it disappear? Does it fade?
It just disappears as long as there's an enemy in the area. Which works really well.
Oh, okay. So for the most part, it was a minor adjustment to the
And it made a
way
huge
that
difference.
items worked,
And
and then
admittedly,
also
like,
UI.
that's slightly different.
It's different than criticizing the plot,
Yeah.
because that's far more difficult to rewrite.
At some point, if I ever have, like, well, I don't know. It'd be interesting to talk to the people about the world next door, for example. And, like, their writing process and, like, what they do differently. I know they're currently working on Cat Lady. And they also helped with Dicey Dungeons and some other things. Like, they have some... God, I hate these. These bunnies are stupid, because they just... Ooh, that was cool.
Trying out new skills?
Reaper. Yeah, I got a new skill for the Reaper. I'm trying to go back to Dia, at least for a little while, because
So we can unlock more of her story, or further along?
well, also because she's my main boss fighter, and it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense not to level her up.
Oh. That's the next flower. When... Oh, I see. You're still fighting creatures in the overworld.
Yep, I'm not done yet. Because I'm trying to fight everything, because I want to be reasonably powerful. The bosses are actually pretty tough. And it would be foolish to just skip things in favor of story. And admittedly, I could actually just totally huck this game on easy mode and just not care.
But you've been playing it on normal this whole time, correct?
Correct.
Normal's fine.
Also, thank you 177 Mike for the 11-month resub. Thank you so much. But yeah, if I can actually get it to the point where Dia is particularly powerful too, that'll help. I might actually be able to beat things with the Reaper girl. But it's, I don't know. Best to have multiple good characters. And then at some point we'll go back to Zav. So Zav was pretty strong. Anyway, boss. Oh. Actually, does she have... She has two. Nah, it's not nearly enough. Whoops.
Uh-oh.
Whoops.
It's like a clearing.
I'm sorry I didn't realize it sooner. I made you bear the weight of our past indiscretions. I left you here to suffer, unable to cross over. I'm sorry I'm late, but we can end this. I can end this. Ow!
Oh, whoa.
Freaking homing attacks. Alright. Change of plans.
Kagachi has memory of this? So he wasn't... I don't understand why he's apologizing to the Night Devil for leaving him there. I thought he didn't have a choice. He was just reincarnated, wasn't he? Unless it's one of those situations where you excise the vile part of yourself in the hopes of leading a better life elsewhere. But then that darkness comes for you later. Behold, darkness can't exist without light. Light can't exist without darkness.
Possibly. It'd be hilarious if I one-shot him with that. I don't think I can.
So after we become whole, or Kagachi becomes whole, then what's the end game? Defeating the howling mass that's writhing beneath the city?
Possibly.
And the Ark, and watch you just put the giant ball of angry souls onto the Ark and send it away somewhere else. Ah. Maybe it's not so much an Ark as a conversion machine?
Wow, I do a lot of damage with this. Alright. Maybe I should just mainline her. It's over, Night Devil. That stretch and skew is hilarious.
Is he merging with Kagachi?
I think so.
But who will be in control?
Kagachi, no!
Stay back. It's okay. I'm okay. This is how it was meant to end. We used to be one soul. We belong together. May we rest in peace.
Notice the little butterfly in the corner? Do you just press to continue? No! Don't! What? Is this really... Is that little butterfly in the corner how you wield...
Yeah, it's an option to continue.
It's an option to continue, but there doesn't seem to be a choice. It's just... dragging out the ceremonial dagger that all the watchers...
What the hell?
This is not how... No! Really? Really? So,
Wow.
all of your friends are killed. A whole bunch of cultists were killed.
This doesn't even guarantee it kills the Night Devil.
You could just release it.
And we've
somehow,
killed
or-
its host like 500 million times.
Yeah, you killed Zale, you killed Kushi. I know that even if Kagachi's the rightful one, why? And does Lynn have nothing to say about this? And
oh
also,
god.
doesn't-
Let's just go, Shell. Let's just see where this takes us. Plagued by doubt. I think waiting too long.
Made the plagued by doubt. Oh, she... Is that what she would have looked like had she not died when she did? Is that... Is that the giant beast of wailing souls, or is that... you, or... what is that?
So this timeline ends after all. I couldn't do anything to change it. You still haven't found the one you're meant to save.
this timeline? Huh. Come on, Soju. Let's go home.
If this is a time loop, I feel better about things.
Next time we'll walk the same path. We'll find the life you wanted, one we can share. We'll find a world that doesn't end this way.
But if this is the end of the game, this is gonna be stupid.
If there's a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's not over yet.